Hi, so this video I want to talk about burnout. I want to talk about what makes people decide to quit the game or put it down for a long time and how you can help to combat that in your personal experiences. I myself have experienced quite a bit of burnout before in this game, notably with post CM1, because I lost my CM1 in a pretty upsetting way. I was really burned out for CM2. I burned out pretty badly in CM6, and I just have some experiences with both experiencing it personally and then also watching a lot of people also go through it. I'm in a couple of different club discords, and people like to share their experiences in the game. And sometimes the experiences are really demoralizing, and it causes people to want to leave the game. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk a little bit about both how you can protect yourself from burnout and how you can acknowledge that burnout is happening. I want to, discuss why burnout happens and, hopefully help find ways you can keep yourself engaged with the game and the community without driving yourself insane. So let's talk about burnout a little bit. There are three main things that will burn people out of this game. The first thing, the most obvious thing, is going to be gacha results. Somebody you can save for months to get a character you really like and wind up going to hard pity for this character if you had enough carrots to begin with, and maybe you only get this character from hard pity and you don't roll any other 3 stars. Or, the same could happen for support card banners. I know that people got really upset on the Kita-san banner, when Kita-san didn't come home, and they had to kind of cope with it. So it can be really difficult to experience these things, and it's part of why burnout is so hard to combat on gacha games specifically. Another thing that can burn people out is parent farming. Parent farming is a slog. It's not very rewarding. You are spending, 20 to 30 minutes just rolling one slot machine, and you're often trying to roll many different attributes at the same time. And if you miss any one of them, it can feel like a failure. And so that can be a huge time investment and a huge grind investment that feels very unrewarding. And then finally, I would say PvP, ace making, and competitive aspects of this game can also lead to a lot of burnout, where you feel like you can't make that perfect ace. You can't make a character that can compete at a high level or at the level that you want to be able to compete in. It can be really hard to do 20, 30, 40 runs with the same character every single time and just keep finding failure points. I want to encompass all three of those today, and I want to talk about how they feel and different ways that you can try to look at them and try to keep yourself engaged in the game despite a lot of the setbacks that this game or even the community can make you feel. So the first thing that I want to talk about is burnout with the gacha. When you are saving for a banner and you pull that banner and you don't get the results that you expected or hoped for. So I'm speaking as from the perspective of somebody who has played a lot of gacha games before and somebody who has whaled in previous gacha games. I was, I wouldn't say big, but I whaled a bit in Fire Emblem Heroes and a couple other gacha games, Fate Grand Order, of obviously Genshin Impact and, and those kinds of Honkai Star Rail, those kinds of games. So I feel like I have a lot of experience when it comes to managing my expectations around a gacha. And so one of the things that I really want to illustrate here, and one of the things that I really want to drive home, is that what a gacha game does at its core is that it, especially games where you know what's coming, like Umamusume or, Fate Grand Order, is it creates a sense of hope that you feel for a future version of your account. So gacha games, where when you know what's coming, gives you this idea of what your future account is going to have, and it gives you this hope. And hope can also mirror with dread, right? If you, I know some people I've talked to are really looking forward to future banners they want to pull on, and some people that I've talked to are really dreading the future banners that they want to pull on because they don't know what the results are going to be, right? And so when a gacha game is selling you hope and you burn through that entire weeks, months, maybe even like a year of anticipation on a banner in minutes, right? There's such a rush of emotion, especially if you don't get what you were hoping for, right? If your hopes are just completely shattered in an instant, there can be a really big emotional disconnect and resonance there. And it can cause you to quit the game. Personally, the first gacha game I ever played was Love Live School Idol Festival, and I loved one of the girls in that game. I pulled on all of her banners, I got all of her cards, until one card came out that I could not get. And I wound up spending too much money to get this card. And the disappointment and anger that I felt after getting this card was that it was actually so much that mentally I could not play the game anymore. It was not fun for me. I like completely crashed out and I wound up uninstalling the game. I never even played with the card that I just spent all this money for. So like this experience really made me evaluate gacha and what I'm playing for, why I'm playing for it, what I'm looking forward to, and just trying to both temper my own expectations and also to accept a bad result, right? Especially if you are a free-to-play player or you don't have many resources, part of playing a gacha means that you have to be willing to accept bad results of gacha. And if you struggle with doing that, then you really need to just try and reframe it to yourself, right? Not having the account that you want to have, feeling that sense of FOMO is how gacha gets you to spend money. And refusing to spend money, obviously, might be in your best interest. But once you kind of recognize these manipulative tactics that gachas use, and once you understand the feelings that you yourself are having with them, I do think that it becomes a little bit easier to compartmentalize when something doesn't go your way. It can feel really bad, but I think that part of moving on from a bad gacha experience is about acknowledging the hopelessness and the way that your hope has been crushed and deciding whether or not you want to move forward with this investment. And moving forward means that you are going to have situations in the future where you will have hope again about your account. And if you are able to embrace that, then I think that you can continue playing the game and you can still have happy, rewarding experiences from the game. And if you feel like you can't, which is a completely valid way to feel, then maybe this game or this style of game might not be for you, which is, again, completely valid. Another way that you can feel burnout from the grind of Umamusume is from parent farming. Parent farming it feels very unrewarding, right? Like, oh gosh, you get to see my shame in this Akimoto that failed her like second race. Yeah, that was the guest borrow. Anyway. Parent farming can feel really unrewarding because you're doing the same thing over and over again, and you can get like an amazing looking parent that gives you absolutely nothing, right? Like you can get a parent that gets all these skills. I got groundwork, I got tail held high, I got playtimes over, I got ignited spirit wit, I got all these front skills, I got 600 plus in every stat. I only won 13 races, so that's not very good. But like I did all this stuff, and I got a 1-star power, 1-star turf. And this is just one of the failed parents that I kept just in case I might want to try to figure out something else to do with these. Like I've had so many parent runs that have just been awful. Oh my gosh, I got all these great skills. Look at how cool this is. I won 17 races. Surely this is going to spark into a great parent. And it's a 1-star stamina. Like, and again, this is the selection bias. These are the ones that I decided to keep because their white skills were actually like okay, right? I mentioned a couple times in my CM7 guide that I farmed for about a week for a new Saiyan Sky parent for my account, and that was actually the core of why I made my original parenting guide video. I wound up not getting a Saiyan Sky parent, and I don't think that my criteria is actually that high, but it just didn't happen for me. I couldn't get the RNG to work. I did, a week? So 7 days of 3 runs. I did 21 runs, and none of them got a 2-star blue with a pink that was either turf or medium with like literally any white. And Parent farming is kind of insidious because you will never get a perfect parent. Even people that have like 9-star blue parents with, all matching pinks and like the absolute perfect whites on them are still going to say, man, I really wish this had gotten straightaway spurt. I rolled this Ryan, who was a 3-star speed. So she's actually a 9-star blue parent with, 5 long 2 turf in her legacy. But man, I didn't get Umastan. I didn't get straightaway spurt. So even though I got something really good, I still think, oh man, it could have been better. Right? And so parent farming is one of those grinds that never actually ends. And that means that you have to set a cap, you have to set a limit on what is going to be good enough for you, right? And my best strategy for this is to set a cap not only on results, like my general result for a parent is that I want a 2-star blue that is usable and a pink that matches the upcoming CM. So a distance pink or a turf pink. And because I select my grandparents, pretty methodically, which I do reference in my parenting video, usually that's good enough, But sometimes I don't get that. I didn't get that with Saiyan Sky. And when that happens, I also try to set a time limit. I try to say, I still need time to make my aces. So if I don't get a good parent in X number of days or X number of runs, then I'm just going to cut my losses and do what I have to do. And this not only gives me an out, it lets me, quit and be done with it, but it also gives me an end to the grind. It makes it so that I can say, I'm only going to do this for 5 more runs. I'm only going to do this for 4 more runs. And putting an end to the grind both helps me psychologically to think, okay, this grind is going to be over soon, which helps to motivate me to continue doing it. And it also helps me to see what I have and to think about how I can use what I have. And so I think that that's pretty helpful in terms of limiting burnout from parent runs, regardless of how many you decide to do. Like that is more of a personal decision to make for yourself, like how many runs you do or, how many parents you make, stuff like that. But I do think that putting a cap on it, putting a limit on it, and not expecting absolute perfection will help with feeling burnt out. I still get comments on my parenting video about, I still haven't gotten a 9-star blue. I still haven't gotten a 3-star blue. I haven't gotten, a blue with a good Umu with groundwork or whatever. And really, I want to encourage you to just let go of that, right? Some of my best aces were made with 2-star blue parents. Some of my aces in previous CMs were made with 1-star blue parents. This is one of the higher rolls I've had on my account of 4.9. And she has a 1-star blue parent and a 2-star blue parent. So even if you're not happy with your parents, I hate to say this, but like you can always kind of high roll around them. And so having a parent that's not perfect is not the end of the story. And as long as you get your affinities and, you get good race bonus. So you do your races, you try to win more races, more G1s in your career. Like as long as your parent matches the direction that you're trying to take your ace, then it's still going to be beneficial for your account for you to have it. Because you can always borrow a parent that's like incredible and will help to shore up some of your stats or weaknesses, right? And then the final thing that leads to burnout is PvP, or at least in my experience, it's PvP and PvP results. I think that expectations for PvP, depending on the communities that you're in, can be extremely high. I'm in a couple Discord communities, and I feel like online communities of any game will always push you to the top percentage of performers. And the top percentage of performers will always get kind of a spotlight put on them. And these spotlights give the impression, or they normalize high rolls, right? Being in a huge Discord community or a huge, competitive community will normalize extremely high rolls. And that puts a point of comparison on you that you think, okay, I have to at least get close to this person's performance, or else I just can't compete, which isn't true. Even when you get into room matches and you see other Umas there who just like blow yours completely out of the water, right? They're, 16K rating, and they're like, they have all the skills they need. They have S affinities. They're credible. The light flies off of them. Like, it's selection bias. So these are someone's Uma that they probably grinded for. Maybe they got extremely lucky, but probably grinded for. And this Uma was so good that this player was like, okay, I gotta put it in room matches. Like, I gotta, it's both like, I gotta see how it does, but also like, I gotta show off a little bit. Like, when I get a really nice Uma, like, I kind of want to show it off a little bit in room matches. And so like, what you're seeing is a lot of selection bias, and you're not really seeing how much people actually struggle to make aces, which can make your own struggles feel very isolating. And when you fall into that mindset, you start being, I feel, more critical of your own account and your own capabilities and just your own aces, which can lead to just this continuous cycle of making ace after ace after ace after ace. And then you're running like 30 careers on the same Uma. You're staring at the same Uma every single day for 2 hours a day, and it causes you to burn out of trying to make that ace, like if you're making, for example, an End Closer Manhattan Cafe for the upcoming CM, you want to make sure that your Creek finishes her event chain. You want to inherit Straightaway Spirit. You want to inherit Umastan. You want to make sure that you have the aptitudes to get to End A. You want to make sure that you get long S. You want to make sure that, you get enough mid race. You have enough skill points to get all of the skills that you need. And so like, failing any single one of those can make an ace just seem completely garbage, right? And it's true that failing some of those aspects will cause your ace to lose matches that they may have otherwise won. I feel like I'm the spokesperson for this because I lost my CM7 finals by a medium A to medium S difference because I called it good enough. But I think that it's important to realize that just because you miss something doesn't mean that it's completely worthless. And I'm not saying that missing crucial skills is fine, but I do think that if it's a choice between you burning out and you accepting what you have and just moving forward with it, then you should always choose the latter. You should never get to a point where you are feeling resentful of having to play the game. And if you're at that point, then I would encourage you to take a break or pivot to something else. The difference between a lot of low roll, or I would say like medium roll to high roll aces, is not that much. And RNG can, like just regular race RNG, can really affect everything. So rather than focusing on perfection and getting really frustrated when you can't find that perfection, I think that you should try to reframe it to yourself to just accept you're not going to get perfection and try to do the best you can with what you have. There are catastrophically bad runs sometimes, and those can 100% just tilt me off the face of the planet. But when that happens and I'm angry and frustrated with the game, I just put it down. And if that means that I don't finish my borrows for the day, like that's just what happens. Don't tell my club that because I have to farm enough fans to keep in the club. But I think that if you feel like you're grinding aces because you should rather than because you want to, then you're not in a healthy relationship with the game. Like, you need to be able to want to do this. You need to be able to want to make something better rather than feeling obligated to, or rather than feeling like you have to keep up with your community, right? As a personal example, like my aces for CM8, I was feeling a little bit burnt out from CM6, the last long CM. I was feeling like kind of not amazing after the end of my CM7 because I lost the finals. And I thought to myself, I don't want to make end closers. And I tried making a couple front runners and like I wasn't really having a good time. And I realized that I just wanted to make aces that I wanted to see on my screen. And I wanted to be able to use my knowledge of how the game works to maximize my ace's chances of winning, but also not like put so much stake in the success that I am going to have in this account. So I did do a lot of runs. I did a lot of runs like on Fuji. I love this isn't that's never mind. Don't look at that Fuji. I did a lot of runs on Fuji and I love Fuji. Like she's my girl. So doing a lot of runs on her to get this result, I'm pretty happy with it. It's not perfect. I wish that my stats would be higher, but I got long S, pretty nice. I got like a groundwork combo. That's good. Even though I wish I had a third green. Should I go back and remake her for a third green? Only if I want to, like this will do the job. And then especially like my cafe. My cafe is kind of below what I consider to be my standards, where I generally want to try to have aces that have better stats than this. I overstammed, I got low power, I got low wit. I wish I had gotten more stats. And I tried for a few days to remake her, but I was having pretty bad luck and I was getting really frustrated. She has to run a lot of mediums in her career, but her medium aptitude is B, and then she has to like overstat, but she doesn't have a good speed growth. She doesn't have a speed growth to begin with, and so she's like struggling for that, and like so she's overstamming for the medium races and not getting enough stat. Like her career kind of sucks. And I tried for a while to make an end closer one and I just wasn't having fun with it. And so I pivoted back to trying to like make a late surge one, and I wasn't getting good results and I was getting kind of frustrated, and I said, you know what? This is fine. It's fine. I accept it. I accept that she will lose sometimes to Umas who have better stats than her. And in my room matches, she does lose pretty frequently to my own Fuku, but it's fine. It's an Uma that I wanted to run. And so, I ran a couple more runs with her, and then I was trying to figure out what else to do, because I have a Fuji that I'm really happy with. I have a Fuku that I'm really happy with. And I have a cafe that I'm not super happy with, but I also don't really know that I feel like running her, right? Because in my room matches, she's not really winning. She doesn't really have a win condition that's separate enough from Fuku for me to be super happy about it. So I started just doing other runs that could maybe be ace runs. I did a winning ticket run. I did a Christmas Ogre Cap run. I've been doing some Hishi Amazon runs, and it's been really fun. It's been really fun to like see other Umas on my screen. I don't have I don't have the best parents for all of them. I don't have, this or that, but like, man, just seeing other Umas on my screen, just like building another Uma and seeing their different events, seeing their different animations, seeing the different races they have to run has been so cathartic. And it's really made me enjoy the process of prepping for the CM. Will I high roll an Uma to replace my cafe? Probably not. And I probably am going to do a cutoff like tomorrow to see, to say I'm done making aces for Sagittarius Cup. Now I'm going to move on to Capricorn Cup and start doing parent farming. And that's totally fine too. But like, I just wanted to communicate this experience that I'm having, because I do think that when you're hyper fixating on the quality of your aces to the point where like you just feel like you can't get a good one and you're so upset and you're so frustrated and you're just burning out, like you need to really be able to take a step back and acknowledge that imperfect will still get you 80% of the way there. And I'm not saying, don't accept the best, or accept something less than the best, but I'm saying to manage your own mental health and understand what is going to make you happy in the game and what is going to burn you out of the game. I didn't do a meta comp this CM because I felt like doing a meta comp was going to just burn me out. I didn't play with meta characters because I felt like playing with meta characters would just burn me out. So I do want to strongly recommend finding ways to change up the monotony and to give yourself some fulfillment in this game that maybe separates a little bit from the competitive aspect, not just in the champion meeting cups, but also in how you interact with other people posting their incredible high roll Umas online. Just try to be conscientious of that. Try to be conscientious of seeing their results and feeling like you have to apply it to your own game in order to stay competitive. So here's the final slide that summarizes a lot of the things that I talked about in this video, separated between gacha and gameplay burnouts. With Gacha Burnout, again, you want to understand that the way Gacha works is by manipulating your hopes and your expectations of a future version of your account. And it preys on that FOMO, it preys on that expectation in order to convince you to try and spend money on it, which can cause you to either spend too much money or quit the game or, things like that. So understanding the mindset of what Gacha is doing to your psychology can be helpful. Obviously, you never want to pull on banners with under 30,000 carats, because 30,000 carats is the minimum for a guarantee, especially character banners. And you just really want to try to make sure that you are pulling with a guarantee. And if you're not, at least acknowledging to yourself and making sure that you will be okay if you pull with all of your carrots and don't get the thing that you want because it's not a guarantee. And then, of course, just give yourself time to cool off after a bad experience. Sometimes if I have like a really catastrophic gacha session, I'll just close the game, I'll walk away, I won't play for a couple days, and then I'll come back with a better mindset, and try to embrace what I have gotten in that time. In terms of gameplay burnout, again, set expectations before the grind, set how many runs you want to do, set how many days you want to run for, when your stopping point is before you start the grind. That way you're not constantly trying to build towards a goal that doesn't really exist. Recognize when you're on tilt and just take a break. If you are playing angrily, if you're engaging with the game from an angry state of mind, that sort of thing will just churn through your emotions like crazy, and then you're frustrated, and then you're not motivated to play the game again when you put it down. Because if you force yourself to play when you're frustrated and then you stop playing the game, your brain is going to conflate you being angry with you playing the game because that was your last experience, right? And so you really want to just put it down when you're on tilt. Don't force yourself to do runs you don't want to do. Don't force yourself to play the game. Forcing yourself to play the game and creating this obligation in your mind where something bad is going to happen, or, you just have to do it because you have to be competitive, that's going to burn you out so fast. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. It's a game. Like, not having the best perfect ace is not going to ruin your reputation or, ruin your champion meeting experience. Changing aces, strategies, or intent of your gameplay for a change of pace. Just seeing a new character on the screen can be nice, or trying to get, groundwork instead of straightaway spurt can be nice. I don't know, like building a team trials character, or just building for the current event. Like, doing that can really just separate out, what you're trying to do. And I think it can be really helpful. And then just try to find the humor in catastrophic runs. Like, I've had so many runs that have just been awful, 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 awful. And I think about quitting out of the run, which is another thing you can do if you feel like you're burning out. Like, just leave, quit the run, just hit the bricks, just walk out. Be done. Anyway, but if the run is not going well, and if it's getting to the point where it's just catastrophically bad, it's kind of funny. I don't know. Try to find humor in it. And I think that finding humor in it rather than going completely on tilt will help you have a better mindset for the future. Thanks. So while this is loading and possibly crashing for the 4th time today, I want to just close this off. I want to say that when you are consciously feeling as if you're burning out, taking a step back is not going to ruin your account. It's not going to ruin your experience of the game. It's not going to, make you a lesser or a worse player. What will ruin your experience with the game will be pushing yourself to the point where you cannot even stomach looking at the game anymore. And so I think that it's important to really just be conscientious of your mental state. If you feel like you're forcing yourself to play the game, even though you don't want to, if you feel like you are constantly comparing your account and your output to other people, if you feel like you are dreading playing the game or not enjoying the character that you're staring at for 2 hours a day, then it might be time to consider alternative. It is manageable. And I do also want to acknowledge that the borrow limit moving from 3 to 5 may put pressure on people. And I honestly really love it because it lets me do throwaway runs with borrows, and that's really fun for me. I can experiment more, which actually makes me do more runs instead of less. But I feel like there might be a way to interpret the bar limit increase as increased pressure, because some people who are, have more patience for the game than I do are able to use that bar limit and just grind out, what is it, like 30% more parents every single day until they get like their perfect one. Wow, this game is really crashing again, isn't it? Oh, okay. Regardless, I do think that it's okay to play the game inefficiently or suboptimally if that's what keeps the game fun for you. And that's what I ultimately decided to do. And that's why sometimes I make really dumb decisions in terms of like what characters I'm going to run or what strategies I'm going to run. Because that's just what it keeps the game fresh and fun for me. And that's what prevents me personally from burning out. Thank you guys. And I guess I'll be back when my game uninstalls and reinstalls again. Here's your okay. He's currently purring into my mic right now, but here's your Siggy picture for making it to the end of the video. Thank you again. And Siggy says hello. He just pet himself on the mic.